the new decade brings with us the end of the Disney Star Wars sequel trilogy, with the divisive release of Star Wars Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker. There is no more Star Wars. It's gone. Star Wars is gone forever.
No, really, there's a lot of Star Wars media out there and we're never gonna break free from it.
Obviously, I'm being facetious, and honestly, I don't think people are actually being that dramatic about the end of Star Wars. And with the fact that the past year we've had quite a lot of finales, like Game of Thrones, a 10-year epic has ended. And with the corporate giant that it is controlling all of cinema and will eventually control your life, Disney's other big property, Marvel, ending, I think people are, not being as dramatic as they would usually be about this kind of thing. So, obviously when I say Star Wars is over, Disney still has the license, and it is indeed not over. There's still a considerable amount of Star Wars media out there. There's the new Mandalorian show. There's also finally some Star Wars video game media that isn't a remake of a pre-existing game. There's Star Wars Jedi: The Fallen Order, which I have not played yet, but I will get round to. I grew up on Star Wars Expanded Universe lore, and in fact they became my favourite thing about Star Wars. The films are good, I still enjoy the films, but, the Expanded Universe is great, it's awesome, I love it. I thought I would give some sort of Star Wars survival guide to Expanded Universe knowledge for people that might not know and who might genuinely want some more Star Wars media to consume. What I think is the best place to start off with concerning Star Wars Expanded Universe media is the same place I started off as a kid. I don't have a copy, but I will put one up. The Star Wars Ultimate Visual Guide is a great little compendium with lots of little Star Wars tidbits and lore on a map of the galaxy. The first time I've seen that. Lore about what happened before the prequels, between the prequels. Cool stuff. Now, outside of this, I have split up this list into various little subsections. When I was growing up, the sequel trilogy obviously didn't exist, and instead there existed a glut of other Star Wars media taking place after Star Wars Episode 6. And my favourite one of these alternate universe Star Wars stories is the Thrawn trilogy. The Thrawn trilogy was penned by Timothy Zahn. It sort of details what happens when an empire the size of the Galactic Empire does fall. And it offers us a genuinely quite compelling story of an alien who managed to rise through the racist ranks of the Galactic Empire, take control of this empire, and keep it going because he genuinely thinks it's the best thing there is for the galaxy. Order as opposed to the perceived chaos. It's very well written, pretty cool. I would definitely check it out if you want to see what could have been after Star Wars Episode 6. Now, going in the complete opposite direction, what if you want stuff that's set before Episode 1? For me, it is no contest what I would recommend, and it's the Knights of the Old Republic games. These two games are fantastic RPGs, and I do think they're relatively accessible. They suffer from some old mid-2000s PC clunk, but other than that, once you get over that initial hurdle, you really get a very, very detailed and good story. Less so in Knights of the Old Republic 1, where you just get a fun Star Wars romp with an interesting twist. But in Knights of the Old Republic 2, you get a great little story, which goes very deep. It brings up some genuine philosophy. Some great villains, it's a great time, it's a great story. You can get it on Steam. You don't need a physical copy, though it's pretty cool to have a physical copy. I have one somewhere, lost to time. Now, there is a huge glut of Star Wars media set during the Clone Wars. Two that I would particularly highlight are the original Star Wars Battlefront 2 and the Star Wars Republic Commando video game. Both of these games gives you a glimpse of these wars from the perspective of the clone troopers. And both offer weirdly quite emotional stories. And they're also just good video games that hold up really well. Right, now we're getting into some interesting recommendations. These next recommendations sort of exist in a weird bubble of their own, which is alternate versions of pre-existing Star Wars media. What jumps to mind immediately here is the original artwork for Star Wars Episode 4, which shows what could have been. The original artwork offers a much stranger and more out there version of George Lucas's original intention. In a similar vein, there's also Star Wars Splinter of the Mind's Eye, a book written before anything had even really been discussed about Star Wars Episode 5, and shows us where the Star Wars series could have gone if not in this particular direction it went with The Empire Strikes Back. It's a very interesting read. It's not the best written book, but it is entertaining and will fill up that part of your mind which wanted to see what could have happened. I thought I would end this video with my ultimate recommendation, which is just going back and watching the original Star Wars A New Hope. Because as much as I am a Star Wars fan, I'm above all a film fan. And Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope is just a magical film. It completely changed the world. And sure, it did help usher in a lot of unhealthy, greedy practices into the film world. But if we just step back and appreciate the original film for what it is, it really is amazing. And I know it can be difficult as Star Wars fans to just separate the original film from all the other media there is. But if we do, there's just a really nice self-contained little adventure film. It's fun, it's exciting, it makes me feel nice and warm inside, separating it from all this expanded universe. Just having Darth Vader as a menacing villain, Grand Moff Tarkin as the overarching evil mastermind of the film, Luke Skywalker is a really naive, kind of a dick. All the characters being kind of dicks, but all lovable, having their own personality and just being awesome. It's an inspirational film in the sense that it's one man's mad vision coming together on screen and being saved by his friends and people who also genuinely believed in the project, and just all these people working together painstakingly to make this beautiful film. And I'm not saying that the other Star Wars films weren't made with love. I do think they all were made with a certain extent of love, except for maybe Star Wars Episode 9. This love originated in this one film. And I do also truly think that it's maybe the originator of the Universal film, because it takes so many inspirations from so many different cultures and shoves them all into one mixed hodgepodge and sends it back out into the world in a really lovely way. And I really love this film a lot. If you get a chance, go back and just treat yourself to watching a nice, simple, fun film that is the original Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope. But if you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. More videos coming from me, and there's more videos on the channel quite often. So see you soon, have a nice day, love you, and bye.